Для начала я вам
Stanley
предложу
worked for a company
посмотреть
in a big
ролик.
building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Всем привет, дорогие друзья! Сегодня мы будем играть в игру The Stanley Parable. Как вы уже поняли по этому ролику, в этой игре нам нужно узнать, куда подевались все люди. Так, я думаю, этот чувак нам будет приказы сейчас давать. Тут особо альтернативы-то и нет.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his
Окей,
left.
давайте пойдем влево. Эти дверь нельзя открыть. Жаль, что нельзя. Тупо идти по коридорам, окей.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Очень интересный доклад. Окей, так. Ух ты. Тоже двери-то закрывают все время. Так.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Сейчас он орать, наверное, будет, что он туда пошел. Он как-то странно спускается. Очень странно спускается. Так. Машина.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange, this can't be real.
Видимо, он хочет, чтобы я его послушал, пока он говорит, и повторяет все это, блин, ужас.
I'm dreaming!
Да какой
This is all a dream.
Просто не могу, не знаю, куда идти.
Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all.
Конечно, не сумасшедший, ходит кругами, блин. И больше-то выхода-то нет.
I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun. And Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
Откуда ты взялся,
Now the
чувак?
voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all,
Нам дадут уже отсюда выбрать.
it's always been. My
Дайте мне
life is
картинку
normal.
на экран, вот что я хочу.
I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Я тебе это не скажу. Действительно согласен.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Блин, ну там не темно стало. Просто красный, так багровый цвет такой.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Ух ты, нифига себе.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
Да, парень с
And
ума
although she
сошел.
would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel
Нормально,
better.
чувак сдох, а ей
Then she
легче
remembered the
стало.
meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a...
А на этом мое прохождение закончено. Ставьте лайки. И скоро я выпущу новый выпуск. Ладно, всем удачи. Пока.